Hello everyone, can y'all hear me? Say yes in the chat. I would appreciate that. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at the chat. Okay. We got 6 people and it looks like that's pretty good. Hello CJ, hey Hayden. New viewer, it looks like. Hello everyone. It looks like I got good audio and everything. So, in case you are new here, I'm gonna be going over pretty much what I went over yesterday, and there are a few things in there that are new though for Helene, and I got something in it. Oh, okay. So I got my 8th grade classmates in there, so that's good. So in this live stream, we're going to be tracking Helene, and that's going to be a huge chunk of the live stream. And we're going to be looking at the long range outlook real quick at the end. If you're wondering about time, it should probably be around half an hour. Oh, I got several people in here. It's good to see that. Again, skeeter meter for tomorrow. I got it at the low. It's gonna be really rainy, but it's gonna be pretty cool. So probably not many mosquitoes out there. And I'll move on. So, of course, we're gonna start off with the conditions in the near future. So we have our morning temperatures for tomorrow. In the morning, it's gonna be a very warm start. North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, most of us will have 70s, and then 60s in the Western Carolinas and North Georgia. And oh, remember that thing is hated, by the way. Tomorrow's highs will be well, no, that's just that's still the morning temperatures. I got confused there. We got more of the same in northern North Carolina. I just wanted to make sure everyone was included in that, but I forgot about that for a second. And tomorrow's highs this time are going to be pretty cool, especially in the Western Carolinas and North Georgia, with 70s because it's going to be cloudy and rainy. And along the Eastern Carolinas and the coast and southeast Georgia, they're going to see some 80s, but for all of us, it's going to remain pretty cool. And if we go north a little bit, more of the same once again. So, actually, before I move on to that tab, I don't know if you can see that. I'll wait until I get that on the phone. I think you can only see my window. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have it. I'm gonna go on OBS again and see if I can show. I have my radar app up, so I want to try and show that. So I'll do that real quick. So far, the stream's going a lot smoother than yesterday, so at least that's good. So we should be able to get out of here pretty quickly. But let me see if I can do something. I think I have to add another window capture. There we go. Okay, so there's my radar app, Radar Omega. It's great. It's definitely more for people that kind of know how to maneuver radars a little bit better, because this is single site, and you have to kind of click these dots to change the radar, and it's a whole thing. So I like it, but it definitely has a little bit of a learning curve. But anyway, the radar for right now, we're using the radar in Greenville, since most of us here are in Greenville. But we have lots of rain in North Georgia. It's pouring out there. And I have to change the tilt on the radar. Okay, there we go. So I made the radar go up a little bit farther into the sky, and now we can see the rain in the mountains a little bit better. And I clicked out of, there we go. So it's raining pretty hard over there in Asheville, Western North Carolina, too right now. And if we look anywhere else, in case I do have someone that's not in the upstate, I'll change this, I guess, to just general radar. It's a lot more pixelated and worse quality, but it gets the general idea around. We have still rain extending down through Atlanta, then even further down to the Alabama-Georgia border, South Georgia, and a little shower or thunderstorm there in Charlotte. And it's really a rainy day in Georgia and Western North Carolina, but South Carolina, for the most part, is dry. Eastern North Carolina is dry, and Southeast Georgia is dry. So it's not totally a washout just yet. Okay. Moving on, I'll check the chat real quick. Let's try to stay on task a little bit, please. I would appreciate that. But anyways, going back to the wind gusts. By the way, if you don't have questions, put it in the chat because, like I said before, some of this is definitely advanced, and I'm not really that good at explaining it in simple terms. So make sure to put it down in there. And yesterday I didn't have access to this, but now I do. I found it. I got wind gusts from College of DuPage, so I won't get into any legal trouble with this, but we have the HRRR model, or the High Resolution Rapid Refresh model. We have the wind gusts here. This is, let me pull this back. Okay, so there at the bottom part of the screen, you can see those tropical storm force winds entering the picture into South Georgia. And then we have that's continuing to move north and east along with the center of the storm, which is, I believe, in there. And they continue to move north, and by 4 a.m. Friday Eastern Time, we have some really strong winds in Grable Spartanburg, just the upstate in general. And if we move this along, of course, this Helene is going to weaken over the mountains and then dissipate and move out. And then Friday night is actually going to be pretty good. If there wasn't too much damage done, it could be good enough for football if anyone's into that. I'd say it's probably going to be a whole process trying to get to the games if they're going to be trees down everywhere. But it's going to clear out by the evening, so it may or may not be good by then. And I also showed this yesterday. This is a graphic I made about the cone not being well, so most people think that if you're not in the cone, you're fine, and that is not the case for sure. I used an example from the first storm of the year, and you can see this little tiny cone. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse. Maybe if I look. Yeah, you can see my mouse. You can see the little tiny cone for Alberto there, but you had a really, really large wind field, or kind of the area that has the winds, and the orange represents winds greater than 40 miles per hour. And that went almost 400 miles, well, yeah, 400 miles away from the center. And even the storm surge was worse in Galveston Bay than in Mexico. So just goes to show that the cone is and everything. And this is Helene on satellite right now. The sun is setting, so I'll have to change this over. But you can see here in the last few frames that very impressive swirl and all those big thunderstorms popping off around the center, which helps the storm strengthen. And it did not change the mode. There we go. Yesterday I also explained this, and I'll make a note again for anyone that doesn't know. I'll close out that ad. And so basically reds, blacks, whites, and purples. And once again, that went off the screen. There we go. They all represent intense thunderstorms, and I'll have to move that. So it's a little note. You can screenshot this if you need to. So you have strong thunderstorms. I'll put that in. And the reason why this shows strong thunderstorms is because the higher the clouds are, the colder they are, and if they are high, that means the thunderstorms are strong. So that's what we're getting here. If you look at the legend on the right, those pinks mean clouds that are less than 80 degrees Celsius. I'll drink some water real quick. Okay, let's see, let's check the chat. Yes, I definitely have a passion. Oh, Mr. Storm, hey, long time no see. Yeah, Mr. Storm is another YouTuber, weather YouTuber, about my age as well. There are a few of us teen weather enthusiasts out there. There's more weather. Mr. Storm, of course. Adeline, I think. Sure, I don't know if I can do it from here. Oh, I can. Add as a moderator. Oh, there's two options. Okay. I'll set you. So Jacob said, why does it look scary? Yeah, it definitely looks scary, and all the colors just mean strong thunderstorms, and I mean, well, yeah, that is gonna mean that the storm is stronger. But Ryan Hall, which is a big weather YouTuber, he has a million subscribers just from a couple of years of being on YouTube. He says don't be scared, be prepared, and that's definitely what we'll have to keep in mind over the next couple of days. No, Mr. Storm is not me. And he lives in Rhode Island, so no. Tony Hawks. Honestly, I do not know who that is, so sorry. Okay, well, anyway, we all of this is just the background. It's only this part of the screen that you have to look at, but this is very colorful and very kind of hard to read. But all you're looking for is the color of these lines. And the reds mean that the conditions are not good for tropical cyclones. Your yellow means it's not bad or good. And then the green means it's very good for tropical development. And Helene is right in there. The satellite on here isn't very good. But it looks like she's right there between the good and the kind of somewhat good conditions for tropical development. This red is not going to stay here forever though, and I should probably change the color. It's a little bit hard to read. This red is going to shift to the north a little bit, so the green conditions are going to kind of follow the storm. And that was wind shear, or the twisting and turning of the winds in the atmosphere. So that's good because wind shear helps the thunderstorms, but it also displaces the thunderstorms from the center of circulation, which, if we look back at the satellite, will be the little swirl. And once again, I'll change the color. It's the swirl. And if the storms are all over to one side, they could be strong because of the wind shear. Wind shear helps storms kind of grow and not fall apart in themselves. But for tropical cyclones, if the storms are not in the little swirl, they will collapse and not develop. So we saw that, and that was good for Helene. And now if we look at the sea surface temperatures, we got really, really hot water out there. We got upper 80s for temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, which, by the way, you might see 30, but that is Celsius, so we have to convert that. So Helene is right in here. She's gonna do something like this. We'll look at the cone in a minute, but she's gonna go over some really, really hot water. So that's another factor that's gonna go against us and towards Helene. Oh, hey, I don't know about that. Mr. Storm, I already made you a moderator. Yeah, Mother Nature definitely can be scary sometimes. Okay, so this is the cone that we've been talking about. We got the location of the storm, which is that X in the bottom of the screen, which is Helene. And the cone is showing that the storm is gonna hit the panhandle of Florida, which, if you don't know Floridian geography very well, it's that area. And then it's gonna move northeast into Georgia, and it's gonna stay a hurricane because it's going so fast, pretty far inland. And this is basically unheard of for the most part. Being a hurricane about halfway to Atlanta, and then it would probably weaken out a tropical storm right around there, I'd say. About halfway between that and... Oh, actually, no. It would probably lose its tropical characteristics by then, or it wouldn't be tropical anymore, and it would just be a low pressure attached to a cold front, and then kind of just dance around there in the Ohio Valley and die out. But basically, from when it's making landfall to in Tennessee, that's when we're going to see the impacts. And here is the rainfall map from the Weather Prediction Center. The storm is going to dump lots and lots of rain. If you look at the key on the right of the screen, yellow is 4 to 6 inches. Light orange is 6 to 8. Dark orange is 8 to 12. And then if we go upwards from there, we have 12 to 16 inches in that red. In the dark red, we got 16 to 20, and even the high mountains of western North Carolina, which if you can't see, I'll zoom it in. The little tiny dots there that are pink, those areas will receive, I'll put this out of the way, more than 20 inches of rain. So this is going to be a serious issue, especially in the western North Carolina mountains. We've seen it with Fred in 2021, if y'all remember. First day of school, for me at least, for 5th grade. There were lots of tornadoes that day, and all the rain kind of just got trapped and couldn't go over the mountains, and then it all rained in the western North Carolina mountains, and then created a very catastrophic flood event for them, and then the tornadoes for us. And we could see something like that again. It looks like we have the track pretty figured out. So I'll move on from there. Looks like, for example, Greenville could have 8 to 12 inches, which is definitely a lot. Then 6 to 8 inches across the rest of the upstate. And, you know, even Atlanta could have a very large amount of rain. So rain is definitely the biggest issue with this. And by the way, I'll zoom back out. By the way, if anyone here speaks Spanish, or there is, on the National Hurricane Center website, they have the graphics in Spanish, if you need that. And if we look at the flood risk, or the flash flood risk, I should say, we have a high risk, which is pretty rare in our area, and basically anywhere else in the country. You got it for the western North Carolina mountains, including Asheville and Hendersonville, and kind of stretching south from there. And even us in Greenville, we have a moderate risk, which is still the second highest level of flash flood risk. And this goes from North Carolina down to South Carolina, Georgia, and then back into Florida, where this is going to make landfall. So actually, even if we look at today, just because of all the rain we're seeing, and I'll pull back Radar Omega up, all of this rain, and I'll make sure that that's popping up. Yeah. All of this, actually, did I? Okay, I wanted to make sure I didn't have that up the whole time. Radar Omega is showing us all of this rain, and this is going to pile up, and that's why we have that risk for flash flooding even today as a high risk. So something to keep in mind for sure. And this is National Hurricane Center's prediction for when the tropical storm winds will come, and Greenville is right in there. The upstate is this whole region of South Carolina. It looks like we'll get those tropical storm force winds by, I'd say, midnight here locally, and South Georgia could get it as soon as tomorrow afternoon. Central Georgia, like in Atlanta, would see it by 8 p.m. like this line says. But everyone else should get it around midnight. And I feel like I already showed this. I did. I must have duplicated the website. Actually. Yeah, I duplicated the website. I'll take a look at the chat. Okay, we got people speaking Spanish in the chat. Okay, so the super ensemble, this basically is a combination of every model, or most of them. And this is by Tomberberg. He is a PhD student. He created this very helpful graphic, and I'll be showing it here. So if you look at the key again, the brighter the color, the warmer the color, that means the higher the chance that the storm is going to go in that area. So if we pull this forward, it looks like we'll have landfall in the Panhandle. If we look under all those lines, it's in orange, so probably 75% chance of that happening as of now, but it does look pretty certain. Then about a 50% chance that we can see the storm either already in Tennessee or still went back through Atlanta, Georgia. And then, like I said, what we saw with the cone, it kind of just goes around and dies out in the Ohio Valley. And I'll go through these really quickly. I'm kind of running out of time, but this is the American model. This is simulated radar. We have... So the American model is showing this going a little bit farther east than the cone, moving this into eastern Georgia as, well, just something to know is that the millibars, or the pressure in the storm, has been lower than usual for other storms. So this would usually mean a Category 3 hurricane still in Georgia, but since the millibar's been a little bit lower compared to other storms, this would probably be a Category 1. So this shows from 1 a.m. Friday to 7 a.m. Friday. The storm goes from eastern Georgia all the way back over the mountains of North Carolina. So it's going to be moving pretty quickly. And that's at least something that's good. Because although we have the wind, I'd say that would be somewhat of a better trade-off for all the rain. Because rain is definitely the deadlier part of tropical systems. And if we take a look at the European model, this is a little bit more accurate than the GFS usually. This shows a, well, judging by the pressure that the storm already has, this would be a strong tropical storm probably. Usually this would mean a Category 1 hurricane, but like I said, since the millibars are a little bit lower for some reason, even though it's still pretty weak, we'll say that it's that. And it shows a lot of rain in the upstate South Carolina, including Greenville County. Then this moves over the mountains and kind of just dies out in the Ohio Valley. And then if we look at one more model, this is a hurricane-specific weather model, so it's usually pretty accurate. Jacob says, "When gonna be bad?" Yeah, it's gonna be bad for sure. I'll pull it back one more time just in case you didn't see it. Some models have been having almost hurricane force, Category 1 hurricane force wind gusts. This high resolution model is only showing, actually this is in knots, so I'll convert that real quick. Okay, so 50 knots is about 57 miles per hour, so a strong tropical storm, or strong tropical storm force winds are likely over there in the upstate of South Carolina. I didn't see that it wasn't miles per hour, so hopefully that helped. So if we look at that HAFS-B model, it shows a strong hurricane Category 4 Category 4 storm making landfall in the Big Bend of Florida, moving north, maybe bringing a little bit of a tornado threat to eastern Georgia and just west of Hilton Head Island. Then continuing to move north, almost right over Atlanta by 4 a.m. Friday, bringing in a lot of heavy rain to Greenville County, Anderson, Pickens, the general vicinity of those areas, just the whole upstate as a whole. And embedded in this could be a few tornadoes. I'd say probably not, because it's going to stay cooler. But we are still on the east side of that storm, which usually has the ingredients for an isolated tornado. And speaking of that, we have the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for tomorrow, and it's showing a high risk or an enhanced risk of tornadoes near Hilton Head down through Savannah, and basically the whole Georgia coastline could see a high risk of tornadoes. And the slight risk or medium risk goes up to Charleston and goes down through eastern Georgia and back into Florida. And the marginal risk is just outside our, at least Greenville County. And we all know a chance is a chance. We saw a tornado warning in northeast Georgia, I think at 2 p.m. And it was only a 2% risk day today, so just something to keep in mind. But I'm also going to go through this pretty quickly. These are, I'm going to show the tornado ingredients. I'll check the chat real quick. It's slow. Let's be nice in the chat. Okay. So the tornado threat in our area would be pretty low, just because we're going to stay with the clouds all day tomorrow and then into Friday. So it's not going to be with Fred, which, if I can remember correctly, we had the sun come up that day, and then that helped the tornado threat. In this case, it's going to be raining all day tomorrow and into Friday morning, so probably not really too much energy for those storms. But if we look at the winds at 500 millibars, which is 3 miles up, I think, above our heads. I pulled this a little bit forward. Okay, so Friday, 7 a.m., we got some winds coming out of the south, it looks like, in the Western Carolinas. And pretty strong winds at that as well. And if we look at winds a little bit closer to the surface, and oh, I deleted that tab. So winds a little bit closer to the surface. This is 850 millibars, which I think is 1 mile up, so 2 miles closer to the ground. If I pull this to Friday, and everything's acting really slow. Okay, so Friday morning, same time frame, we're having winds out of the southeast, and they're much stronger as well. So we have that wind shear, which is the twisting and turning of the winds with height. And that, like I said before, is going to help the storms. Maybe it's going to weaken the tropical cyclone, but that would enhance the tornado threat. So we have the wind shear, and if we look at, and it looks like I also deleted that tab, so it's kind of weird. I had all of these bookmarked. And ready to go. I'm not sure why it did that. Okay, so we're going to use the high resolution model. Okay, so we're going to look at the storm energy in just a moment. Okay, so it's also called CAPE. This is storm fuel at the surface, so right where we are. That was a little bit of a tongue twister, but anyway, if we pull this through Friday, right around where we're gonna have those storms. And actually, this backed off from yesterday. The HRRR model is now showing. Oh, I'm glitching. Yeah, I saw that. That's weird. Okay, on my end, it looks a little bit better now. I'm not sure, but we'll move on. So the HRRR model is showing that little nose of storm fuel now into eastern North Carolina instead of us. And actually, I think that was the tab I wanted to pull up. So give me just a sec. The live's about to end soon, so make sure to put any questions in there because I'm kind of out of time and I need to go do something before I go to sleep. So yesterday I gave you a little bit of time, but today I won't be able to. But anyway, I showed the European model yesterday, so let's see what they're thinking today for the storm fuel. If we pull this toward Friday morning, this is 7 a.m. Okay, so the European is still showing that storm energy in our neck of the woods, and my page marker isn't working. There we go. So yesterday it was showing a little bit less storm energy, but now it's showing a bit more. And actually, yeah, that's for today. So since we're going to be on the eastern side, we have the wind shear, we have some more storm fuel, at least according to this model. We could have that tornado threat, at least for a couple of them, for Friday morning. But I mean, if we look at the high resolution model, it's not showing that, so take it with a grain of salt. But it looks like the tornado threat might be a little bit lower for us. So at least that's good news. We only have the rain and wind to contend with. But now we're in the last part of the live stream. I'm going to quickly go over this, but this is your chances of either staying above or below average temperatures. We have, well, this is for the 1st of October through the 5th. So this would end on the day of Weatherfest, by the way. It looks like Granville County will look okay. It looks like our little region might see some slightly better temperatures than everywhere else in the country, especially in the desert. It's going to be a lot warmer than average. But we still have that 33 to 50% chance of that. So the temperatures usually go down by October, but we could see maybe closer to 80 degrees for Weatherfest. But if we look at precipitation, it looks like we'll have about average precipitation unless you're in the southern part of Georgia. And it looks like most of the country is actually going to be pretty dry. And then if we look at the 8 to 14 day temperature probability outlook, this would take us from the 3rd to the 9th. It looks like we'll stick around with somewhat warmer temperatures. And for precipitation, it looks like we might be a little bit drier if you're in North Carolina, or a little bit wetter in South Georgia and South Carolina. So it looks like we'll stay warm. It might get a little bit rainier by October for people farther down south, but otherwise than that, it looks like it will remain pretty quiet after Helene. And I also showed this yesterday. This is the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook, which basically shows us how high of a chance we have for tropical development in the ocean. We got about a 40% chance in the main development region between the Antilles and Africa, and then another 40% chance or greater area there in the same area where Helene is actually, and more of the same for the 9th through the 15th, and the area in the main development region goes down a little bit. But one more thing, this, if you're in Granville County, this doesn't really apply too much to us, but it's important to have in mind anyway, and we are still going to get a good dosing of rain from this. This is by the National Weather Service office in Greer. We have a little graphic here that tells us what to do in catastrophic flooding. We have the 2 check marks. We have move to a higher floor with windows and bring your phone and supplies. And if the highest floor of your home becomes dangerous, get on the roof and call 911. like I said, if you're in Greenville, that would probably not happen. But if you're in the western North Carolina mountains, that could be somewhat of a higher chance. And then the two wrong things to do, it says do not attempt to travel in flooded areas. And do not stay in the attic or you could become trapped. So that was everything. I guess I'll give you all a minute or two to get any questions. Nice, so the upstate tomorrow, it's gonna be raining all day. It could be a little bit breezy, but it shouldn't be as bad as Thursday night and Friday morning. Oh, we got Harper in there too. Well, you kind of led to the party though. I guess I'll do a quick recap then if you came in. Basically, tomorrow we'll wake up to a warm day, but it's gonna stay around that temperature all day. As you can see, it's gonna be pretty windy, and that could get up to 60 miles per hour for Friday morning, and we're gonna get a lot of rain. There's Helene, not looking too shabby right now. The wind shear is, actually I'll kind of skip that, but we have good conditions for tropical development, and we have hot water, so those are two factors that are going to help Helene kind of develop. This is the cone, which shows Helene going closer to the Alabama-Georgia border, which would put us in the most rain and most wind. The rainfall map here by the Storm Prediction Center. Greenville County could see a lot of rain, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches. The mountains could have it really bad with more than a foot of rain. Most of Georgia is going to get a good amount of rain as well. And if you're in places like eastern North Carolina, you probably wouldn't see too much. Tropical storm force winds for Greenville County would arrive overnight Thursday. Georgia would have it by tomorrow afternoon, actually. It's going to be bad in Taylor's. Yeah, it's going to be pretty bad in Taylor's. If I'm correct, Taylor's is in central Greenville County. So if we look at the map, you would probably get 6 to 8 inches of rain. There's the tornado threat for Friday. This could expand northward. I'd say maybe a small risk for tornadoes for us, but probably nothing too crazy, since we're going to be stuck with the rain and clouds and stay cooler all day tomorrow. So that's not going to allow the atmosphere to get too unstable. But yeah, there could be definitely an isolated tornado or two out there. But other than that, that was the main focus. I don't think I had anyone from the Midlands or the Low Country, so I guess I'll end it off on that note. You can post a comment on the posts that I kind of told everyone I was going to go live if you have an additional question, but I'm going to log off now. Harper, like I said, there's a chance, but I'd say it wouldn't be too terribly high. It's mostly just going to be the really strong winds and the buckets of rain we're going to get. Yeah, that was the end of the stream. That was the most successful stream I think we've had. Or at least yesterday. Yesterday was also pretty good, but I don't think I had 8 viewers at one time, so that was pretty good. Okay, so thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go get ready now for bed, I guess. But yeah, make sure to stay safe. Don't discount the small tornado risk we have through the rest of the day. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show. We have a tropical storm warning for all of South Carolina actually. all of Georgia, a little bit of Alabama, and some of the western North Carolina mountains. So just in case, be mindful of that. You can go to any radar site. It doesn't have to be Radar Omega to read all of this. It's pretty long, but it is good to read. Make sure you finish up your preparations today and tomorrow, because power outages are probably going to start coming in by tomorrow night. And yeah, that was basically it. See you, everyone. Thanks for joining.